So setting up a building in Costex, adding drawings, rotating the drawings, and scaling those drawings to start measurement. So to open up Costex, we double click the Costex icon, or we open it up in our start menu, look for Costex. I'm going to close down this quick access box here, and I'm going to open up or start a new building or insert a new building by left clicking the top left hand corner Costex icon and selecting new building. Now I can open an existing building, I can delete a building, I can import or export an EXF Costex file, but in this case I'm going to select new building. I'm going to name it warehouse, because that's essentially the drawings we're dealing with, and I'm going to drop it down into a default project. I can set up different projects and drop my new buildings within those different projects, but in the educational version I only have the option to select a default project. So in the educational version I'm going to select default project and click insert. So this is the Costex interface. Looks and feels like a Microsoft program in respect to tabs across the top, icons within each different tab. We've got a dimension view and a costing view. For the moment we're going to work in dimension view, and then subsequently we'll use some of our dimensions in a costing view. So the first thing we have to do is add drawings. We can do that in Drawings tab or Home tab. So in the Drawings tab I'm just going to select Add Drawing, first item that comes up there, and I'm going to go where I saved my drawings. In my case it's in my G directory in a folder called 2D PDF Warehouse. I'm going to add a couple of drawings here. The first one I'm going to take in is Foundation. Open, click insert. If I knew the scale I would select it here, but I'm going to check the scale later on, so I'm just going to say insert. Again, new drawing. I am going to select ground floor, first floor plans. Again, select insert. I am going to select some elevations. Again, select insert, and I might take 4 drawings in. I'm going to take a section in. So for the moment I may add further drawings later on in the tutorial, but for the moment I have 4 drawings. This is essentially the drawing name. If I double click on the drawing properties will come up again. So these are properties would have been what I would have inserted when I opened up the drawing, but I can recall them. Again, zooming in and zooming out. I can categorize my drawings. I may find that I have quite a considerable amount of drawings here and I want to categorize them into different folders. To do that, I'd right click the drawing, edit drawing properties, and create a folder for my drawing. So in this case I will say 2D drawings. So once I say update, I'll do the same here. Right click, edit drawing properties. Because I've already written in 2D drawings that should be there are available to me. Update. Again, the next one. Right click, edit drawing properties, drop down 2D drawings, update. And then the last one, which is the section. Right click, edit drawing properties, 2D drawings, update. So in this context I've set up a folder called 2D drawings with 4 drawings. I can collapse that folder, and as I said before, if I had numerous drawings there I would have access to those drawings. So the next thing I have to do, I'm going to click my first drawing here. It may take a little bit of time to open up. Again, navigating the drawing, anyone familiar with CAD, zoom in and zoom out with your mouse wheel, push down on your mouse wheel, move left, move right, up, down. And that functionality is very handy when it comes to measurement, by zooming in, zooming out and selecting lines to measure your areas or your lines. Again, the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to rotate that drawing. So I can do it a few different ways. I can right click on a line I want to rotate. So in the bottom of the drawing I want this line to essentially be my line. So I'll hover over it, right click, rotate to selected line. And and again that has turned the drawing 90 degrees, but I want my tiling down on the bottom right, so I may adjust that by turning 180. And now my drawing is rotated. Again, if I need to rotate it 90, I would do so, and I can rotate it around again till my drawing is in the bottom right. I can rotate to a drawn line. If I right click, rotate to a drawn line, and then along a selected line I would click and then click again, and that would rotate the drawing along that particular line. But in this case I'm going to just turn it 180 or 90 degrees, again getting back to the tile, drawing tile to the bottom of the or bottom right of the drawing. In this particular drawing, again, it can be quite tricky. I can only add one scale to a drawing. I can't have multiple scales in a drawing. Whereas in this particular sheet, I've got a scale of 1:100, and I've also got some details at 1:, I believe it's 1:50. So if I wanted to use both those drawings, I may have to copy in another drawing and call it maybe Foundations -2, and scale it at 1:50. Whereas this one I might have scaled at 1:100. So let's essentially check this scale and calibrate this. I might pick a known dimension. In this case, I'm going to measure the distance. In the Drawings tab, measure distance. A little kind of crosshair will come up. I'll select the known dimension. I'll hover in. I'll left click on one end, maybe come back out again, and then I'll left click on the other end. So I can see that 0.042 is not the scale of this drawing. It's quite possibly should be scaled to 1:100 because of what's coming up there, 0.042. But the first thing I might do is just calibrate that drawing. So again, in the Drawings tab, I'm going to calibrate the x-axis. Click that. Something similar again, left click. Zoom out a little bit. You can see that the line I'm going to bring across and click on the other side of that dimension. Type in the actual dimension, 4230 I believe, and click OK. So again, we might check that, measure distance, left click, bring it across, 4228, so it's pretty much scaled. Now if I double click on the drawing properties, so select that drawing, double click, I can see that the scale down here has a calibration, or sorry, not the scale, but the calibrated drawing has a calibration factor of 99.97. So I scale that by clicking on lines, but the chances are that scale of that drawing is 1:100, which is essentially the case because it's written down there. But don't always go by what the scale is, because it depends on how it was exported, how it was printed, and it may not be correct. So it's always good to calibrate it and just double check. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset that calibration. I can't have the calibration and scale it at the same time, so I need to reset it. I'm just going to double click into my foundation plan, and I'm going to type in a horizontal scale of 1:100. Click update, and now check a known dimension again. Can't really see it there, it's overlaid, 4.23 meters. So that would be correct. That's 4,230 millimeters. So we're looking for meter lengths here, so it's 4.23 meters, so that's correct. The first floor plans, I'm going to rotate. So I've got the ground floor plan there, and I've got a first floor plan. Again, it looks like it's 1:100 because I checked the first one. More than likely that one is also 1:100. That is correct. I can calibrate it again and check a measurement if need be. The elevations, I'm going to click that, turn it 90 degrees, get the tile to the bottom right. Again, it also is 1:100. Update, and the section, just check that, turn it 90 degrees, bottom right, it's showing it at 1:50, so I might just double click my section, type in 1:50, And then maybe in this case, because it's a different scale, I might check a vertical dimension there, measure distance, bring it down and hover over 2.399, so that is 2.4. So I'm happy enough with those drawings. They're rotated and their scale, and they're ready for takeoff. So maybe just in this particular module I'll do a quick takeoff. I'll get into it in a little bit more detail in the next video, but I'm just going to select my ground floor plans. Again, my first floor plan in this warehouse and my ground floor plan, my first floor plan on the same sheet, and they are scaled and rotated, and I'm going to set up a dimension. Now it does come preloaded in most cases, unless you go into Costex options and change what dimensions are available here when starting a new building. I have a gross floor area dimension, but I'm going to set up a new one. Dimensions, from drawings to dimensions, add dimension group, kind of similar to how I added a drawing. I'm going to give it a name of outside wall area, and I'm going to put it in a folder. Well, actually, for the moment I will drop down and leave it in a standard folder, but I can set up a new folder. I'm going to give it a measurement type area. I can put a default multiplier in there, but most cases we will leave that the same. If I wanted to multiply it by a number of buildings, I might multiply it by however number of buildings I'm looking for there, and I can put a default height in. I'll get to that. We can go back and add that. I leave the colors as is, but I can change them, and I'm going to click insert. So now I have two dimensions, one that was defaulted or preloaded, and now my outside wall area. So by double clicking on the dimension, I can bring back up that dimension group properties. Okay, so again, just to finish off this tutorial, I'm going to do a quick bit of measurement in dimensions line mode. I can either measure in line mode or I can measure in point mode. We'll get to the difference between the two further on. So let me start. I'm going to click on a corner on one of the outside lines. I usually go from kind of corner to corner, click again, and then come down to this corner, make sure I'm clicking on the right line, scroll in, click, and then come back to my first point, click. So once I'm happy with that, I've returned, I've gone either in a clockwise or an anti-clockwise direction. I can't jump from one side of the drawing to the other. I have to follow essentially the measurement or follow the line. I'm going to hit enter. So there I have it. I've got an outside wall area of 218 meters squared, and if I hover over the area, it'll turn blue and give me the dimensions in that dimension. And I have an area measure of 217.52, obviously rounded up, and I've got a length of 59 meters. So that's a secondary quantity in Costex. Obviously it's calculating the perimeter length of that dimension, and again, if I wanted to double click into my outside wall area, in fact I maybe look at the section of this warehouse, and the height of my ground floor up to my first floor is 2.7. So I'm just going to go back to my ground floor plans where I was taking off the dimensions. I'm going to double click in my outside wall area, and in the default height I'm going to type in 2.7 meters, because that's essentially the height of my ground floor to my first floor, and click update. Would I like to apply this new height to all dimensions? Yes, I do. And now when I hover over my dimension, I have a number of different secondary quantities. I've got what was originally there, the 217.52. I've also got the length. Now I've got a wall area, which is obviously the length times the height. The height is also available there. And I've also got a volume, which is obviously the area times the height. So they're secondary quantities. Again, if I hover over that particular dimension, I will see those secondary quantities, and they are available to me, even though they're essentially not what I measured. Now I can double click on that dimension again, and instead of the area, if I wanted to see the volume, I could click volume and hit update. Now that volume is displayed there, but the secondary quantities are still there. So I'm going to just change it back to display area, and click update. So that is essentially the first video, and that is setting up a new building, adding some drawings, rotating those drawings, scaling those drawings, either through calibration or through typing in the scale, checking the measurement, that's very important, checking a known distance, and then we did some very basic measurement. So I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much.